sure that all parents know that registration for fall programs at the parks starts today for all the parks west of California, and then all of the registration for fall program east of California starts tomorrow. It's at 9 a.m. I had parents sending me snapshots of their computers ready to go because our programs are very, very popular. They fill quickly, so we want to make sure we get as many parents signed up. And then in conjunction with the Chicago Public School, as we return back to school, we want to make sure that all of the parents know that school program is also available after school closes to ensure that kids are coming to the parks for arts and crafts, sports, obviously, but wellness and all kinds of really healthy activities. I encourage the youth and teens and adults and seniors to explore their parks this fall and make sure that despite the weather condition, whether it rains, whether it snows, parks are open. So whether you're outside or inside, we encourage you to make sure that you're coming in. We have, and I'll just name a few, we have everything from pickleball to woodcraft, to archery, to adaptive sports, to tai chi, to boxing. So name it, we have it at the parks. I encourage all of you to come out. Thank you for a great summer, and I encourage you to be part of the parks as we go forward. And now to continue on the program, I want to welcome my AT Science Stack Rice. She's the CEO of the Chicago Defender Police. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, thank you, Superintendent Brown, for having us here. This is so important that we are even coming together the way we are once again with the Chicago Police Department. We're so grateful for the City of Chicago, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, for our second district commander, Josh Wallace, who have worked tirelessly to make sure that we have our staple parade success once again. So now we're here 93 years later, and we are so great. We only missed one parade, and that was during the pandemic in 2020. And ABC 7 is our partner, has been working with us, and we are going to see so many different changes this year. We are back to our normal route from 39th to 39th Street to 55th Street, and we have great Grand Marshal Jeremiah from Def Jam recording artist Jeremiah, to our honoraries, and of course South Shore Drill Team. We're looking forward to Jesse White Tumblers. So all those that we know the staples that have been there are coming back, and then we have new guests as well, and everyone in the community is excited and ready to get back to what we do. But what I appreciate working with the CPD, we start, as Superintendent was saying, we start meeting in March, and we meet monthly and then weekly and then daily. So we make sure that we have a safe and secure parade. And so we've been doing this every year, and we're really excited about this year specifically because the communication has grown stronger between our team and the City of Chicago. And we're grateful also for the Park District because they are part of it as well. We have a festival in Washington Park, and so with the festival, that's the largest back-to-school giveaway. We don't charge anything to get in, or any vendors don't. They're not selling anything. We have giveaways for the kids. So Mael Products is one particular company who will have free haircuts for the boys. We have free hair braiding for the girls to prepare them for back to school. Amazon's out there giving out backpacks. Our Marshall, many other, lots of our sponsors out there will be out there, like Walgreens, Walmart, coming together to support the kids. So we're grateful for that as well. We just thank you all for all that we're doing. And the other thing is, with CPD, we have a program, Performing Arts League is our program where we have all of our kids that we support year-round. The theme this year is the power of the Bud Billiken Parade 365. And the reason we say 365 is because 365 days a year we're working. It's not just the parade. The Chicago Defender Cherries that produces the parade has programming for the kids that participate in the parade, as well as what we call our Bud Scholars, our kids that we give scholarships to. And one of the programs that we're doing as well is working with CPD on a Build a Sign mural project that will start in September. And so it means so much that the police department and our students work together, and they can see how we can work together as community in a different light, and it makes a difference even as we move forward. Talk about safety, that's part of it. So we're so grateful for the community feel that we have with Bud Billiken and the city of Chicago. Thank you.
So we'll take just a few questions if you have them, and we'll pass the mic around so we have a little bit of order. Yes.
Good morning, Superintendent Brown. This is Maria Baraleza from Univision Chicago. So I want to address the CTA crime. Despite the efforts that you guys are doing, implementing more cops and more security guards, we keep seeing CTA crime increase. What's happening? What do you attribute this to?
So one of the things that we constantly emphasize is our commitment to the CTA is safe. And yes, you're right. We continue to see individual incidents happen. But just for a moment, let's take a step back and look at maybe the pre-pandemic and pandemic years, 2019, 2020, 2021, and this year currently. Overall, CTA crime compared to 2019 before the pandemic started is down 43%. But crime is one too many. So your point is well taken. And as a result of this year's spike compared to last year, but not compared to 2019, we've been adding more and more resources to the CTA, more and more sworn officers to CTA. We held a press conference this past Saturday so that the CTA President Dorval Carter could talk about the added resources from an unarmed security standpoint, to include adding K-9s back to the CTA. So again, the single incident obviously can be color everything we do, but I just wanted to put a little bit of context to your question. Even though there are single incidents happening, we're significantly below 2019's pre-pandemic. But we've committed to adding more and more and more resources to do whatever it takes to make sure our CTA is safe.
Superintendent, can you, there was a shooting on Thursday on the Stevenson involving an off-duty officer.
Right.
Can you give us some more information about what happened there? Was the officer fired upon, and did the officer fire his weapon?
So I'll turn it over to Chief of Detective, Chief Dinahan, to my right. He'll come up here in a minute. But the overview is, officer was driving on the freeway. A laser is pointed at him before any shots are fired, and then shots are fired at him, and he returns fire. And then he drives to the closest police district for reporting the incident. So we'll go into a little bit more detail. Brendan will update a little bit more.
Sure.
Brendan.
How you doing? As you know, it happened obviously on the highway. So I don't want to go into a great amount of detail. We're in coordination working with the state police, but they're handling the investigation. So obviously they have all the facts of the investigation, and our members from our team were out there as well. But all the details, I'm going to defer to them. To at least, like Superintendent mentioned, he kind of gave you a basic overview, but I don't want to interrupt their investigation, and they can update on the specific facts of what occurred.
Did ISP block COPA from investigating?
You'd have to ask ISP. They don't. The ISP is investigating the actual incident. I don't know what occurred between ISA and COPA. COPA has their investigation that they do as well, their administrative investigation. But ISP was handling the criminal investigation out there for that.
Yep.
Colin Boyle, Block Club Chicago. We're just looking for more information about the suburban man who was arrested for firing a gun in Englewood last week. We're wondering if there are going to be more charges filed, and if there were any notes or any more details about the notes that he had in his car specific to hate crimes, for example, because a lot of neighbors are starting to worry about that.
Sure. So what we know is Obviously, you had weapons, cache of ammunition that, he fired randomly. He was charged. He was held in custody, given bond. I don't know if your news organization was at the bond hearing. He received a bond. Apparently this morning we were told that he's on electronic monitoring now with, was it $300,000 bond? $300,000. Yeah, $300,000 bond. Learned that this morning. As far as the details of the investigation, it's ongoing as far as notes and other facts about this offender. And, yes, likely we're looking at other charges, but right now, just the one charge of reckless, right, is the only charge we have right now. Reckless UUW. Yep.
Superintendent Jim Goodes, WBBM Radio. Wondering if you had any thoughts or comments on Tio Hardiman, who's going to be outside your headquarters at noon saying you need help and he wants to make his violence interrupters available for hire to provide more security on the CTA. Do you need them? Is that something you're considering? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's been a long-standing exchange between him and the department and the city. I don't know that vigilanteism, if that's what he's referring to, is going to be helpful. Of course, we need more eyes and ears. We ask all residents on the CTA to report what they see that's suspicious so that we can respond. But beyond that, I'll defer to that long-standing discussion with Tito regarding how helpful they can be with his offer of assistance.
Good morning, Superintendent.
Hey, Charlie.
Wojciechowski over at Channel 5.
Yep.
With the Billiken coming up this weekend and having the Highland Park shooting just a month in the rearview mirror, what can people expect to see that looks different at Billiken this year? What extra security? I know you can't talk about details, but
Yep.
how can people prepare themselves for this event in light of what happened a month ago?
So, like you heard, planning since March, more of a regular cadence on the planning in the run-up to this Saturday, up to weekly and daily discussions about various aspects of security, to include resources dedicated. As you know, we had several parades before now this summer, and what we talked about that really pertains to this parade is we're very, very, have an urgent look at intelligence, focused on the number of officers assigned, focused on all the ingress, egress, and in your question about Highland Park, really focused on the high ground, rooftops, other high ground areas in relation to that lesson learned from Highland Park, as well as the engagement with people who are putting on the event. I mean, that is one of the key parts of what we can do to make sure it's a really safe parade. But also, I can't emphasize enough, it's kind of akin to what we talked about with CTA, the public, the residents, eyes and ears, report something suspicious right away. We're going to have a big contingent of not only uniform, but officers in plain clothes, not necessarily seen. We'll utilize all of our technology to ensure that we're as safe as possible, to include not just the day of. We do a lot of work the day before to look in and around the parade route to make sure that everything looks copacetic, which I thought I'd never use in a press conference. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Good morning, Superintendent.
Morning.
This is Sharday Gray with CBS Channel 2. So going back to the CTA, as you mentioned before, you made the statement Saturday that you would see more officers, or riders would see more officers the next day. We talked to CTA riders and they didn't see any officers. Can you clarify why they didn't see any? And we obviously know that the CTA said that they would roll out their K-9 unit a little bit later, but can you clarify why they didn't see it the next day, even though you said that they would?
So I don't know who they are. That's the one thing that you have the advantage of knowing who they are. But what I can say, obviously, the CTA is a massive transportation vehicle where likely platforms, the trains themselves, We talked about the buses as well. But all the locations in and around the CTA, obviously, is so massive of geography, and it's moving. So we are adding more and more resources, but not on every train. That wouldn't be practical, but we need to add more. So likely they were on a train that didn't see, but there are some days that were on trains that did see that you likely didn't talk to. So we got a lot more work to do. I would just tell you, this is not going to be an easy task, but we're dedicated to ensuring that people who ride the CTA are safe. And whatever it takes to include, redistributing desk duty officers to the trains. And that's an internal inside baseball message that I hope the back of the room heard, that officers in uniform working desk duties, we're going to try to find a way to get them and others in more field assignments as we have more and more demands on more uniform officers out in the field, to include CTA and the loop. About 22 districts, there's more and more demands for more officers. We're seeing success, but we want more success. We want more than a 16% reduction in homicides and a 18% reduction in shootings, because it's not back to 2019 levels. Unlike the CTA, 43% down compared to CTA levels in 2019. Our homicides and shootings are down lower than 2021 and lower than 2020, but not lower than 2019. So we're going to have to pivot more and more resources from administrative jobs to assignments like the CTA, to assignments like the 1st and 18th district, to assignments like the districts, obviously, that drive violence top 55 beats, as well as every neighborhood in this city needs more resources. So we're looking to do it all, knowing that we have limited resources, so we have to prioritize. Thanks. Yes.
Good morning, Sarah Schulte with ABC7. Can you give us exact numbers? I mean, you just said that CTA is a massive operation. You can't be on every train. So how many extra police officers are going to be added to trains?
I don't know if you've asked this before, but others have asked it for you. We try not to give away the actual numbers. We think it's counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish. We actually, obviously, can't have an officer on every train, so we don't want to give a number out and then offenders know, well, they only got this much on this train and they don't have this other line is free to do whatever we want. So we try to spread the resources across to where we have the largest presence. That's one. Preventing crime is about presence. And we don't want to hinder our ability to show a large presence with limited resources. So that's why we steer away from talking about specific numbers. And you're not the only one that and receive the same answer from me, so I understand your frustration. But we're going to stick strongly to, we're going to add more and more resources. We added some resources Sunday. I'm looking to add some more resources before the end of the month. The CTA, as they discussed Saturday, are adding more on armed security, as well as adding the K9 security officers to the CTA. So more and more resources, and hopefully the they or them start seeing officers, right? Because right now, of course, you're likely to have a train or a line that don't see the increase in resources because it's so massive, but we want to keep adding more and more and more to where that presence, that being seen, is something that resonates with people, because perceptions of safety is just as important as the actual safety. You know, if I don't see officers, I don't feel safer. But if I see officers, maybe I feel a little safer perception-wise. So yeah, we got to do it all, but we're going to stray away from accounting for individual staffing levels.
Just a quick follow-up, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
I know you talk about shifting resources, desk duty to mass transit.
Yeah.
Some sources have told us you've been shifting from narcotics to gangs to mass transit. Can you comment on that?
Not just the Bureau of Counterterrorism. We're taking them from any and everywhere we can find, where we can still do the job for that bureau, but also be able to create this safety on the CTA, safety in the loop, safety in all of our neighborhoods and our districts. And so we're constantly shifting resources in this department as we see our strategies working. So we're seeing the top 55 beat deployment strategy working. We're the only large city with double-digit declines in shootings and homicides, but for San Jose, which is not an urban center like Chicago. So it's of the million population cities in this country this year, it's Chicago and San Jose with double-digit declines. Now, there are some lower than a million population cities that's had double-digit declines, but the total is scarce. Most cities are seeing a continuation of increases in both homicides and shootings in this country. And so we found something that we're going to continue to expand on. We're going to continue to expand on the top 55 beats. We're going to continue to expand on increasing the CTA. We're going to try to find more resources for inside the loop, the 1st and 18th districts. The 2nd district, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 15th, they all need more resources. 22nd district needs more resources. 20 and 19 and 16 need more resources. And so we're going to be responsible stewards of the taxpayers' dollars on our personnel salaries. And the average resident would rather see an officer deployed in the field than at a desk if we can still make the work done in administration work. So we're looking to take more and more resources. So your sources are on point. Normally sources give a little bit of the truth, but yes, we are deploying resources from non-patrol bureaus so that we can have an increased presence on our CTA and other areas in the city that demand for it.
Judy, WGN-TV. Have you had any updates or progress made on the 79th Street incident in which that red line rider was killed on Saturday morning?
Sure, I'll have Chief of Detectives Brendan Deanhan update you on that one if we have anything. Thanks.
Sure. So you guys know about the incident. We put out a seeking to identify bulletin. I'll make sure through News Affairs that you guys are able to get a picture of that. Excuse me. We believe that we have very good images of the incident, and we believe that for the public and some of our agents officers, we should be able to identify these defendants.
That has been released or not yet?
The seeking to identify has been released, so we'll work with News Affairs to ensure you guys have it.
We have 2 quick follow-ups.
Actually, just on a different subject for one of my colleagues. Somebody was shot this morning in a Catalytic converter, I guess, stolen Catalytic converter. Can you comment at all what you know about that, and are they on the rise?
Likely, I could just talk about a little bit about catalytic converters. Yeah, the prices of, I forget the name of the metal, rhodium, has really driven catalytic converter thefts, particularly in cars manufactured with a high amount of rhodium, like Prius and others. I think we've got out that list, but we'll give that out again. There's certain electric cars or cars that have a high efficiency that have a level of rhodium in them, so are more valuable because of the price of rhodium going up some 1,500% these past couple of years. So in addition to that, we don't have, because it's so early in the investigation, we don't have an update, but we can get you offline update as soon as we have it for you. Last question. Yes.
It's Friday with CBS.
Yeah.
So they are the CTA riders. Those are the people that we talk to every day. People that ride the CTA. So we went to 79, we went to Chinatown, Jackson. We went to a lot of CTA stops, and they didn't see any officers. So you would be able to understand why they feel like there really isn't anything that's helping out. Like people were saying they were getting on the train, they were expecting to feel safe, and they didn't see any officers.
Can I suggest this for you and your staff that go out and ride? Partner with our CTA commander and his personnel on their deployments. Maybe you likely get a different perspective. You're going out, and again, our deployments are strategic, they're data driven. So like high ridership, locations that have high incidence of violence, those are the routes for our deployments. But I would just suggest you take us up on maybe a ride along or walk along the CTA deployments with our CTA staff. We try to put that video out of where they are, when they are, but we'd love to penetrate the news cycle on your network with that deployment strategy that the CTA officers are doing a yeoman's job with limited resources, getting out, being seen, interacting with the public, engaging, doing a lot of the things that the people that obviously you interacted with didn't see. So I suggest that. And then afterwards, let's do a one on what. Okay. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent? Excited about what